Hi guys, welcome to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host Iggy, and tonight we're going to look at some Western themed items that I presented to you some time ago, perhaps a year ago. I believe it was my third or fourth video. But what I'm going to do here, the reason I'm coming back to this, is the original video was basically me passing the camera across the shelf quickly and not really talking about what we have here. So I'd like to remedy that shortcoming tonight and give you a more detailed exploration of these Western items that you see before you here. So let's look at the items first and then we'll continue forward, okay? Okay, guys. First off, let me say that the what inspired me to do this tonight was there's a young man at my work. His name is Jack, and I'm not sure how old Jack is, but I'm guessing he's like 20 or 21. He's a good fella, and he's very interested in westerns, particularly Clint Eastwood movies, but he's also open to other older movies as well. He seems to be very interested in it. And I want to encourage his love of westerns because you just don't see that young people being very much interested in things like that anymore. I mean, in the 1950s, even into the 60s, Americans were very fond of westerns. And oddly enough, I think Germans were really into it too. If you go to an Old West site in America, like Tombstone or the Grand Canyon or Monument Valley, you'll find a lot of German tourists. So there's a certain allure about the Old West. It's romanticism, it's violence, it's boredom, the vast expanses of land, the sudden death, all those things, the hard work, the entrepreneurs, the people that created towns out of nothing. There's a lot to recommend the Old West to your imagination. The landscapes, of course, were breathtaking. And so it's maintained a hold on people. Now, admittedly, that's diminished, at least in the United States, somewhat. But Jack is still very interested, and I'd like to encourage him to continue that. He's a nice young man. He reminds me of someone that Walt Disney would have really liked to sign up for his movies. He would have been perfect as Johnny Tremaine, if that gives you some idea of what Jack is like. And he probably would have been good in Treasure Island and Swiss Family Robinson as well. I think Jack will be surprised to hear me say that, but he's a good kid. Anyway, this Stagecoach here was a surprise for me because all this time I thought this was an ideal Stagecoach. Now, originally I purchased this on eBay, And it was a dark chocolate brown with black wheels and black horses. I, of course, painted the carriage this red color. And you see it's the original brown is starting to peek through there. And I painted the boot a canvas color. And I didn't have a rider for it, but I found this Roy Rogers figure. I don't know if it's Roy. He's dressed like Roy Rogers, but he looks more like Pat Brady. And this figure, I don't know who made this, but it's very rubbery. A rubbery plastic that I'm not used to. In fact, it was even softer before until the air got to it, and then it started to stiffen up a little bit. But he's dressed the way Roy Rogers would have been dressed, with the fringe on the shirt and the elaborate cowboy boots. But you can tell he doesn't go this because if you look closely, there's a big gap between his seat and the carriage seat. And no place for his feet because he should be sitting up here. And you can see that's just not working. I hope to find the original figure that came with this wagon. But this wagon I thought was made by Ideal Toys. And I flipped it over and it was processed plastics, which I think is MPC. And this is so old, it was actually made in the United States. And that just doesn't happen any longer. Everything's made in China now. Well, at least 80% of it. This Wyatt Earp figure I got online. I can't remember the name of the company I bought it from, but they sold like Papo figures and Schleich or Schleich, I'm not sure how you say it. And that's what this figure here is, which is a really nice figure when you look at this. It's painted quite well too. It's very nicely done. Over here, we have some Native Americans. Now, I didn't notice this until I took this off the shelf, but his hand and bow are missing. I have no idea what happened to them. I didn't even know they were missing until I took them down off the shelf. So hopefully I'll find them on the floor sometime in the future. I don't know. It's pretty dark in here. I may have vacuumed it up or something, or swept it up and thrown it out. I don't know. I don't know who made this rubbery Roy Rogers figure. Then we have a chief back here that looks probably more like Audie Murphy than he does Native American. And we have a Tempo teepee. Now, the early Tempo teepee came in panels that you hook together, and you could make the Tempo teepee. I like saying that, Tempo teepee. You could make that larger or smaller depending on how many panels you hook together. Now, I hooked an extra panel in here to make the Tempo teepee more in scale with these Papo figures. There's a terrain piece here that came with a play set that I bought. Actually, my brother bought it at Disneyland in the Pirates of the Caribbean gift shop. And that's the terrain piece that came with it. And now it's probably from something else, but at this time I don't know. And this over here is a reproduction Marx piece. And I painted it to match what I remember the kids next door, they had this. Now this is still available. I painted this milk chocolate brown, and then I painted this the water in the sluice box. I don't. Can you see the sluice box? It's a nice piece. I like this, and it came with a cave, mine cave with a track and an ore car, and this is a reproduction. So it's this sort of yellowish tan color. And I painted the water because I think the original was painted like this. But that could be the Mandela effect or whatever they call that, where you're absolutely sure of something, and then when you find out, you're like, what? Anyway, I like this piece quite well. And you can buy it for... It's not very expensive, guys. You could get the piece with the sluice box and the cave with the ore car, and it's like $20. These are figures that I bought at a garage sale and also at Michael's, which is a craft store. And I don't think they're Papo. I did look at it to see if it, yeah. It has writing on it, but I can't see what it says. Oops, there's some, oops, I'm going to get censored now. My friend Carl, he actually raises, well, at one time he did. I think he's retired now. But he had these, and he sent me a picture of himself standing next to one of these. These things are massive, huge animals. I'd hate to have one of these charging down on me because that's pretty scary. I saw a video of a lion who had one of these horns broken off in his side, and I could tell right away that that lion wasn't going to be long for the world because you could see it under the skin. It was really gross. This is, I forgot if it was Wyatt Earp or Doc Holliday. That they almost look interchangeable, don't they? The interior of this wagon has seats, unlike my Mark's wagon, which is just open floored. This one has seats in it. See that? So that's pretty cool. Okay, guys. That's all I got for you this time. Why don't we head down to the service station where the service attendant wears starched white uniform, white pants, white shirt with a black bow tie, and he has what looks like a military cap, but it's also white. And he will check our oil and also the fluids and pump the gas for us while we go over to the front of the gas station office, and they have a chest out in the front. It's red with white Coca-Cola letters. You lift up the lid. On one side is frozen items, and on the other is bottles of Coca-Cola in glass bottles, which it tastes a lot better in glass. I asked the Coca-Cola guy about that, and he said that the worst thing for soda taste is plastic, and the best thing to get is glass bottles, which is unfortunate because they closed up all of their bottling plants. There used to be hundreds and hundreds of bottling plants across the USA. And in fact, there was one near where I used to live in Ventura, California. They had a bottling plant right next to the highway, and they bottled Coca-Cola product there. So we'll go there. We'll get a Coca-Cola. Maybe we'll get an ice cream like a Nutty Buddy. Do you guys remember the Nutty Buddy? It was an ice cream cone with a huge scoop of vanilla ice cream dipped in chocolate with some nuts on the top. And I prefer it without the nuts, but, you know, to each his own. And you'll get thirsty having all that ice cream. So a nice cold Coca-Cola in a bottle, and we'll take the Coca-Cola out of the chest, and there's a bottle opener on the side, and we'll pop it open, and it'll go psh, with bubbles going up in the air. It doesn't do that anymore. Now it's just kind of soapy. But in the old days, they had a lot of carbonation, I guess. That's all I got for you this time. Did I mention that I thought this was an ideal wagon and it's actually MPC? I think I did mention that to you. Multiple plastic processing or something. Well, maybe I could just show it to you. Oh, there goes Roy. It says processed plastic company. Made in USA. Can you believe that? Those were the days, my friend. We thought they would never end. That's a song, I think. Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end. I can't sing. Anyway, that's a nice view of my table. And I got the hiccups again. All right, guys, that's it. Let's head on out. Happy trails to all of you. I'm glad that you stuck around to see this, even though it's a repeat of a earlier video. I just wanted to give better treatment to these items than were given to it originally last year. I hope everyone's doing well. Take care of yourself, your family, your wallet, and your collection. Take it out. No sense having rats and fleas enjoying it while you don't. So get it out of storage, and if you don't care for it anymore, sell it. There's someone else out there who would probably love to have it. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you.